I found something in the walls of my new apartment, and I don't think it's human. I've been lurking on this sub for a while, but I never thought I'd have a story to share. I'm not a writer, so bear with me if this gets messy. I just need to get this out, because I'm starting to think I'm losing it, and I need anyone to tell me I'm not crazy, or maybe to tell me I should be scared. I don't know anymore. This all started about a month ago when I moved into a new apartment. It's a small, one-bedroom place in a crumbling old building on the edge of town. The kind of place with peeling paint and creaky floors, but it was cheap, and I'm a broke grad student, so I wasn't picky. The landlord, this greasy guy named Carl, gave me the keys and a half-hearted warning about keeping the noise down because the walls were thin. I didn't think much of it. I was just happy to have a place to myself after sharing a dorm with 3 other people for years. The first few days were fine. Unpacking boxes, setting up my Wi-Fi, the usual. The apartment had a weird vibe, sure. Old buildings always do. The air smelled faintly of mildew and the windows rattled when the wind picked up, but nothing I couldn't handle. The only thing that bugged me was the cold spot in the corner of my bedroom, right by the closet. No matter how high I cranked the heat, that corner stayed icy. I figured it was just bad insulation and made a mental note to get a space heater. Then I started hearing the noises. It was subtle at first, easy to brush off. A faint scratching sound, like nails on wood, coming from inside the walls. I'd hear it late at night when I was trying to sleep, always from the same spot, the wall behind my bed. At first I told myself it was mice. Old buildings have pests, right? I mentioned it to Carl when I saw him in the hallway, and he just shrugged and said, "Yeah, probably rodents. I'll put out some traps." He didn't sound convinced, and he never followed through. The scratching got louder over the next week, not constant, but enough to keep me up at night. It wasn't random either. It had a rhythm, almost deliberate. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch, 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 like something was trying to get my attention. I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding, telling myself it was just my imagination running wild. But it was hard to ignore the way the air felt heavier when the scratching started, like the room was holding its breath. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my flashlight and a screwdriver from my toolbox, determined to figure out what was going on. I pressed my ear against the wall right where the sound was loudest. It was dead silent for a moment, and then scratch, scratch. My stomach dropped. It sounded so close, like whatever was making the noise was right on the other side of the drywall. I started unscrewing the outlet cover on the wall, thinking maybe I could peek inside and see if there was a nest or something. The screws were rusted, and my hands were shaking so bad I kept dropping the screwdriver. When I finally got the cover off, I shone my flashlight into the hole. I don't know what I expected. Wires, insulation, maybe some mouse droppings. But what I saw was wrong. There was a small, hollow space behind the outlet, bigger than it should have been. And inside, carved into the wood, were these weird symbols. They looked like a mix of letters and shapes, spirals, jagged lines, and something that almost looked like an eye. They weren't random. They were precise, like someone had taken their time to etch them in. I reached in to touch one, and the second my finger brushed the wood, the scratching stopped. The silence was deafening. I yanked my hand back, my skin crawling, and that's when I noticed the cold spot in the corner had spread. The whole room felt like a freezer. I tried to laugh it off, telling myself it was just some old tenant's weird art project, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd done something I shouldn't have. I screwed the outlet cover back on and went to bed, but I didn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the windows made me jump. The next morning, I Googled the symbols. I sketched them out as best I could and searched every combination of weird carvings, occult symbols, and strange wall etchings I could think of. Nothing matched exactly, but I found a forum post on some sketchy-looking occult site that described similar markings found in an abandoned house. The poster claimed they were part of a binding ritual meant to keep something trapped. I closed my laptop and laughed nervously. Binding ritual? Come on. I wasn't about to start believing in ghost stories. But then the dreams started. Every night I'd dream of a figure standing in the corner of my room, right by the closet. It was tall, too tall to be human, with limbs that bent at wrong angles. Its face was a blur, like my brain refused to process it. But its eyes, God, those eyes, were sharp and bright, like they were burning into me. It never moved, just stood there, watching. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my heart racing, and the cold spot in the room would be worse than ever. I started sleeping with the lights on, which helped a little, but the scratching never stopped. It was louder now, more insistent, and sometimes it came from different walls, like whatever was in there was moving. I called Carl again, practically begging him to check for pests, but he blew me off, saying he was too busy. I even asked my neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Hargrove, if she'd ever heard anything weird. She gave me this strange look and said, "This building's got its secrets. Best not to go poking around." That's when I started noticing other things. My keys would go missing, only to turn up in places I'd never left them, like inside the microwave or under the couch. My phone would open to random apps in the middle of the night, even though I always locked it. And once, just once, I found a small crumpled piece of paper under my bed with one of those symbols from the wall scribbled on it. I burned it in the sink, my hands shaking so bad I almost set off the smoke alarm. I know what you're thinking. I should have moved out. But I'm stubborn, and I'd signed a lease. Plus, I didn't have the money to break it and find a new place. So I stayed, convincing myself I could tough it out. That was my first mistake. Last week, things got worse. I came home from class and found my front door slightly ajar. I always lock it, no exceptions. My heart was in my throat as I pushed it open, half expecting to find a burglar, but the apartment was empty. Nothing was stolen, but the air felt wrong. Heavy, like someone had just been there. I checked the bedroom, and that's when I saw it. A small, jagged hole in the wall behind my bed, right where the scratching was loudest. It was about the size of a fist, and the edges were rough, like something had clawed its way out. I shone my flashlight inside, my hands trembling so bad I could barely hold it. The beam caught something, a glint of metal, deep in the wall. I reached in, against every instinct screaming at me to stop, and pulled out a small tarnished locket. It was old, the kind of thing you'd find in an antique shop, with intricate engravings that matched the symbols I'd seen before. I opened it, and inside was a faded photo of a young woman, maybe in her 20s, with dark hair and a sad smile. There was something written on the back of the photo in faint, spidery handwriting. "Keep it sealed." I dropped the locket like it burned me. The scratching started again, louder than ever, and this time it was coming from inside the closet. I grabbed a kitchen knife and flung the closet door open, but there was nothing, just my clothes and some boxes. The scratching stopped, but the cold was unbearable, like I was standing in a walk-in freezer. I slammed the door shut and backed away, clutching the knife, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, the locket on the coffee table, staring at it like it might come alive. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a notification from an app I didn't recognize, something called Watcher. I hadn't downloaded it, and when I opened it, it was just a black screen with a single line of text. "You opened it." My stomach twisted and I deleted the app, but not before taking a screenshot. When I checked the screenshot later, the text was gone. The next day, I went to the library to do some research. I wasn't about to trust random internet forums anymore. I dug through old newspapers looking for anything about the building or missing tenants. After hours of searching, I found a small article from 1983 about a woman named Elizabeth Carver who'd lived in my apartment and vanished without a trace. The article didn't say much, just that she was a quiet tenant who kept to herself and that the police had no leads. There was a grainy photo of her, and even through the bad quality, I recognized her face. It was the woman from the locket. I don't know what to do now. The scratching hasn't stopped, and it's not just at night anymore. It follows me, even when I'm in the living room or the kitchen. I've started seeing things out of the corner of my eye, shadows that move too fast, shapes that don't make sense. Last night, I woke up to find the locket on my nightstand, even though I'd locked it in a drawer. The closet door was open, just a crack, and I swear I saw those eyes from my dreams staring at me through the gap. I tried talking to Mrs. Hargrove again, but she just shook her head and said, "Some things are better left alone, dear. You've stirred it up now." She wouldn't say anything else, just shut her door in my face. I called Carl, but his number's disconnected, and when I went to his office, it was empty, like he'd never been there. I'm writing this from a coffee shop because I can't stand being in that apartment anymore. I don't know what it is, but I think I let it out when I touched those symbols or opened the locket. I keep the locket with me now because I'm scared to leave it in the apartment, but I can feel it in my pocket, heavy, like it's alive. I don't know if I should destroy it, bury it, or try to put it back in the wall. All I know is that every time I close my eyes, I see those eyes watching me, and I hear that scratching like it's inside my head now. If anyone's dealt with something like this, please, tell me what to do. I'm scared to go back tonight, but I don't have anywhere else to go. And I can't shake the feeling that whatever's in that apartment isn't just in the walls anymore. It's following me. Update. I just got home, and the hole in the wall is bigger. There's something written inside in the same spidery handwriting as the locket. It says, "You can't seal it now." I'm locking the door and staying in the living room tonight. If I don't post again, I don't know. Just don't rent apartment 3B in the old brick building on Hawthorne Street.